All right, real quick, I want to touch on a few things. I was watching an episode a while ago just for the heck of it. Probably the thousandth time I've watched the episode. I don't know. Kathleen Zellner was bringing up some points about the RAV4, and she said that the amount of touch DNA that was found on the hood latch was double, almost triple what it was when they ran 15 trial tests with different people touching the hood latch, and then they would swab it for DNA. It was 2 to 3 times more of Stephen Avery's DNA than the 15 trial runs. And it got me to thinking. She also said that they didn't test the hood release on the inside of the car, and they didn't test the hood prop, the thing that holds the hood up, right? That alone got me to thinking, and it blows my mind. I've heard her say that before. It's just I really started thinking about it now that I'm making these videos, and some other things I thought about. So the hood release wasn't tested for DNA. The hood prop wasn't tested for DNA. Also thought about, to my knowledge, the battery cable, the terminal wasn't swabbed for DNA. The bolt that holds the cable onto the post wasn't swabbed for DNA. The parking light in the back of the vehicle, to my knowledge, it may have been, but to my knowledge, was it swabbed for DNA? I don't think so. Some other things. Let's say that, because I don't know exactly what the state claims happened here, but let's say that the state said, well, Stephen Avery had gloves on, and he had to cut through the gloves, and that's how his blood got in the vehicle, but he didn't have any fingerprints because he had the gloves on, but the blood was coming through the gloves. Well, if that's the case, he wouldn't have touch DNA on the hood latch. They said it was not blood DNA, it was touch DNA. So if he had gloves on, that theory wouldn't work because you wouldn't have any touch DNA anywhere. So to have touch DNA and to have blood DNA, that would have to imply that he did not have gloves on. So with that being said, you mean to tell me he didn't leave one single fingerprint? We already talked about no blood on the steering wheel, the gear shift, etc. So with no gloves on, you mean to tell me he didn't leave one single fingerprint on the hood, the dash, the door handles, on anything? He didn't leave no fingerprints? That's absolutely ridiculous. The DNA on the hood latch, 3 times higher than what most people left on the hood latch when she ran 15 separate trial runs with people opening that hood latch, swabbing them and cleaning it each time. 3 times higher the amount of DNA obviously planted. All of these other items that we know of not tested for DNA: hood release, the hood prop, the battery cable, the battery bolts, the parking light that broke off from the front that was laying in the back of the car, is absolutely ridiculous. Another thing I thought about, they didn't necessarily use Brendan Dassey's confession in Stephen Avery's trial, but it's interesting because in Brendan Dassey's confession, he supposedly, which we know he was coerced into saying every single thing that he said, he was guessing. It's so clear. It was clear to me before, but watching it again a while ago, it's so obvious. But he claims that he's seen Stephen go under the hood. He said, I don't know what he went under there for, but I just know he went under there. Which begs the question, that would imply that Brendan rode with Stephen to park the car. If that's the case, he didn't walk and then over there and Stephen drove the car and Brendan walked over there. First of all, it wouldn't make any sense. Second of all, if you look at the layout of the property, that'd be a far walk. So if Stephen drove the car over there and put it there, wouldn't it be perfectly logical if Brendan Dassey's confession was actually true, saying that he went with him, wouldn't it be possible? I mean, wouldn't it be evident that you would find Brendan Dassey's touch DNA on the vehicle, on the door handle, on something in that car? Not to mention, now this part, I don't know for sure. I got to go back and watch, but I could be wrong because I haven't confirmed this by looking at the pictures. But if I'm not mistaken, in the front passenger seat of that car, there was a CD case and some other items. I think it was in the front passenger seat. If indeed it is, y'all can correct me. If it is in the passenger seat, the CD case that had Stephen Avery's blood on it, are you trying to tell me that Brendan Dassey went with Stephen Avery and he rode in the back of the car, in the middle or the back on the way over there? Or are you telling me he rode in the front and then when Stephen Avery was done, he put the CD case back in the front seat? Or it wasn't in the front seat and he put it in the front seat? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But if Brendan Dassey's confession is so true, which it's not, but if it were, his touch DNA would have to be on the vehicle. His fingerprints would have to be on the vehicle. And the fact that neither one of them fingerprints was found on the vehicle, and you only find blood in a few certain locations, no blood on the steering wheel, no blood on the gear shift, and an extraordinary, absurd amount of touch DNA on the hood latch, that all begs the question. I don't understand, because if I'm not mistaken, all of this was in Kathleen Zellner's motion that she filed. I don't understand why we're already not in, why Stephen doesn't already have another trial. This is ridiculous. I mean, if you really think about what I'm saying, if you don't have gloves on, and in order to meet the state's theory, he wouldn't have been able to have gloves on, okay, to have been able to put touch DNA on that hood latch and not leave fingerprints. So you have to release the hood from the inside, go touch the hood, put your hand under it, pop the hood. Your fingerprints is going to be on there somewhere. Then grab the prop and prop the hood up, and you tell me none of that was tested and there's no fingerprints on the vehicle? Get the hell out of here. Like, subscribe, share this video, comment, let me know what you think, especially about that CD case. Was it in the front passenger seat? Let me know, and I'll get back with another video soon.